This is Josiah Plays Tyranny. Still exploring the lovely town of Lethian's Crossing here at the junction of the old walls. And what we're going to do next is go inside this door. Well, we're not going to go inside the door. We're going to open the door and go through it inside the dwelling. Going inside the door would be... Must gather my part. They're gathered! Oh, the game is paused. Let's see what's inside, shall we? Oh, we've got a little building with... It's Dea's house. There's Phaedra and Dea. And loot. A great bow. How does a great bow compare to her? It's exactly the same, apparently. Nine and seven? 9 and 7. Alright. Well, great bow sounds cool, so we'll just use that. Dea's house is naturally on a dais. Huh, see what you did there. Inside the old doors.
Got it.
Chalcedony, Jasper, gauntlets. What's up with these gauntlets? They're not going to be as good as her awesome perp gauntlets. But they're certainly an upgrade for her. At which point her gauntlets could go over here to Siren instead of her Songbird's gloves. Alright. His name is just Mares, that's it, that's his name. Has nothing to do with horses, obviously, because there's no horses in this world. Alright, let's talk to Phaedra and Dea. A bright-faced woman greets you as you approach. Welcome to Lethian's Crossing, Wanderer. My name is Phaedra, and this is my beautiful wife, Dea. She indicates the stone-faced blonde woman standing next to her, who holds up her hand in a quick greeting. What brings you to town? Is there anything I can help you with? What can you tell me about Lethian's Crossing? I've lived here most of my life, but honestly, I'm not sure there's much to say. She looks contemplative. We're a center for trade and a waypoint for travelers. The walls are a little scary, but you get used to them over time. She looks at Dea. What about you, dear? Dea shrugs, her expression never changing. What is there to say? Town is alright, but living under the thumb of an occupying force makes it hard to truly relax. Phaedra puts her hand on Dea's shoulder and Dea sighs. Sorry we couldn't be more help. Phaedra shrugs sheepishly. You haven't always lived here. Several years before Kairos' invasion, I moved away from Lethian's Crossing. Being the granddaughter of Lethian came with a responsibility I wasn't ready for. Oh, she's the granddaughter of the town founder. Kind of a big deal. I met Dea in the Bastard City and decided to stay for a while. We were living in the Bastard City when we heard about Kairos' forces moving to the Tiers, so we took that as our motivation to move. She laughs. And I think we got out of there at just the right time. We traveled a bit with a couple of caravans, but nothing really seemed like home until I returned to Lethian's Crossing. You never realize how much you can miss a place until you've been away for a while. She wraps her arms around Dea and squeezes. But I could live anywhere as long as this one is with me. It's true that trade hasn't been as vibrant here recently, but I'm sure it's simply a temporary setback. The merchants will sing and dance for you, trying to convince you their suppliers are unaffected, but everyone is feeling it. I have faith the world will set itself right soon enough. People call me a fool, but I don't see the benefit in bemoaning your life. You take what life hands you and make it work. You know, it's always people that were born with some kind of advantages that say that shit. That were born, you know, in a relatively benign environment to be brought up in. They're always like, you take what life gives you and make it work. Yeah, okay. You're Lethian's granddaughter? One of many, I suspect, but I'm the only one anyone knows about. And before you ask, no, Eldian is not my father. Maybe you haven't heard, but my grandmother wasn't exactly the settling down type. Ah, Phaedra's grandmother got around. What's your opinion on the Bronze Brotherhood? I haven't had any real problems with them. They might be a little rough around the edges, but they seem to be trying to help the city. They can all hang. Dea interrupts, her face showing the first bit of true emotion since the conversation started. I've seen nothing but misery where they interfere. If you have the coin, they'll do anything. They're thieves and murderers, and I can't wait to see them trampled. Wow, Dea suddenly got serious. She emphasizes her words by spitting on the ground between her feet. Dude, she's spitting in her own house on the ground? Come on, I know it's the Bronze Age, but seriously, have some class. You're in your own house, and you're just spitting on the ground. What is wrong with these people? Bunch of fucking savages. We need to bring Kairos' peace up in here. In the northern realms, the great land of Kairos, people don't just spit on the ground in their own houses. Dea, Phaedra says, consoling her. I'm sorry about that. I do my best to make our lives here as easy as I can, but there's only so much you can do to alleviate the pain of the past. I don't think that will ever be fixed. So, the locals are not all super thrilled about the Bronze Brotherhood, obviously. Thank you for your time. Anytime, traveler, Phaedra says happily. If you need anything else, just let me know. Also, thank you for the items that I've stolen from your house. That's the designated spitting spot. Be careful you don't go over in that corner. That's the designating well, you get the idea, yeah? Why is that one corner so stinky? Mr. Stinky. Alright. So where is the dude at? I mean, besides the fact that he's abiding. We were almost killed! Okay, Evander and Felix are obviously Bronze Brotherhooders. Actually, he's Bronze Brotherhood. This guy is Forge bound. And this is just a Lethian's crossing her. Why would these people be living next to what is apparently a stomping ground for Banes? I'm not really sure why they decided to have the town right here by these walls. I mean, I guess it was just a good location, other than the fact that the walls are full of dangerous shit. Oh, can I talk to the other one? That's a good question. I actually thought about doing that while I was talking to what's-her-name, Phaedra. But then after I got done talking to her, I forgot to actually try to talk to Dea. Hello, traveler. No, she just says hello, traveler. Okay. Yeah, I have a feeling she had a bad run-in with them. Ah, because it's rich with iron ore in the area. That's right. That's why they built the town here. Well, it's defensible. You certainly can't say it's not defensible. You've got two completely giant, impenetrable walls, basically, on two sides of your town. Why not build it further downriver? I don't know. Alright, let's come over here and talk to these folks now. I'm glad you came along, Fatebinder. Now that you're here, we can settle this.
Why do we need a Fatebinder for this? It's such a trivial matter.
Trivial? We were almost killed. Tell me what's going on. Felix sent me and Maris to the old walls for materials. Now, I know the old walls are dangerous, but Felix said he had it on good authority that there was no danger.
Felix was gonna make an axe for each of us in return. I couldn't pass it up. A forge-bound axe costs a lot of rings normally. Hey, forge-bound magic is just as dangerous, you know. It's not my fault the most reliable, stable materials happen to be found near the old walls. And besides, those axes you were getting in payment were exceptional compensation for the task.
To Felix, you sent these two near the old walls?
The best materials are found near the old walls, and good material is hard to come by. There's no way I could do it all myself. I never get any forging done, and my master is very particular about meeting production quotas. It was a fair trade for their service. Plus, it's not like forging items using those materials is perfectly safe either. One error, and you're a pile of ash on the floor.
Have you sent anyone else to the old walls before?
Well, I've never ordered anyone to go inside. They might have, but I have no way of knowing for sure, you see.
As one of the Forge-bound, you're aware that the old walls are off-limits to everyone?
Yes, of course, Fatebinder, but surely there's room for some flexibility in that law.
No, there's really not.
After all, I'm sure that Kairos would want us to produce only the best arms and armor for his armies.
Except not going in the fucking old walls. Kairos only has a few major laws. Like, about 5 of them. And that's one of the fucking 5 major laws that's set in stone. The old walls are fucking forbidden. Period. I mean, I'm about to go in some old walls. I give a shit, but... I don't think the Bane leave the walls, though. I don't think they come out of the old walls. I think as long as you don't go inside there, you're safe from the Bane. Alright, I'll go to Evander. Tell me your side of things.
I'm not one of the disfavored, so I know getting my hands on genuine forge-bound items is damn hard. Naturally, I jumped at the chance to do the job for Felix. I mean, it was just gathering materials. I didn't expect to find Bane all over the damn place. Luckily, I've dealt with Bane before and was able to fight my way out. I managed to rescue mares while I was retreating.
Did you go inside the old walls? He hesitates noticeably before answering.
Yes. Only for a moment to look around, then right back out. Couldn't have been more than a minute.
You've done this sort of job for Felix before?
Yes, I've done similar jobs. This was the first one that's taken me anywhere near the old walls, though. I figured Felix knew what he was about, though, or that he'd gotten the go-ahead from his master.
I'm not sure, Nox. That's a good question. Could you buff yourself up with magic beforehand and then go in and not be attacked? Okay, to mares. How did you get involved in this? I've known Felix since before the conquest, and when he told me about the job, I agreed to do it, no questions asked. It's nothing I hadn't done for him before. While I was out gathering the materials, I was ambushed by scourges. If Evander hadn't come along when he did, I'd have died. Were you ever in danger on any previous jobs for Felix? No, not really. A few wild animal encounters, but nothing like this. Are you aware that the inside of old walls are off limits? Sort of, but I wasn't planning to go inside, just near enough to get the materials Felix needed. I've made my decision. We'll go along with your judgment, no matter what you decide. Alright, all three of you are to be executed. Alright, so let's see. I can call Felix guilty, and I can strip him of his status. I could be like, it's all good. No punishment needed. I could fucking wreck all of them. Or I could really come down on Felix and make him give extra items to Evander and mares. I'm going with number 2. I don't feel like anything here needs to be punished. Felix was simply trying to further his craft. And more importantly, no one died. No punishment is needed. I feel like my character is planning to go into the old walls soon herself. And she would feel like it would be kind of hypocritical to punish them for trying to go in the old walls when she's about to go in the fucking old walls. So we're going with number 2. I hope no one dies the next time you send someone out for materials. Anyway, the Fatebinder's made a ruling, so let's never talk about this again. Probably for the best that no heads were cut off in this little disagreement. As you said, nobody was hurt. Ebb pauses, looking up to the old walls that rise above the settlement. Of course, they live a short walk away from this forbidden temptation. They'll be back in no time. Alright. Doing my job. Finding fates and shit. Lost good friends to the Bane. Here's Biotis. What's up, Biotis? Ooh, forge-bound apprentices. Oh, this might be a forge... Oh, this guy's definitely a forge-bound. Yeah, he's got the forge-bound logo. He's got anvils and crap around. He might have some really good shit for sale.
Welcome, friend!
The merchant cries out to you, his belt jingling with rings. He waves his arms about in a dramatic presentation of his wares.
What brings you to my humble trading post? Have a certain something in mind or just browsing?
Show me what you have for sale.
Most certainly, have a look.
Iron Javelin, Iron Great Axe, Forge-bound Hammer, Iron Dagger, Forge-bound Apprentice Armor. That's a lot of fire armor right there. Iron Axe, Iron Gauntlets, Studded Iron Gorget, or Gorget. Uh-oh, Sigil of Volcanic Weapon? What is this? I don't know, but I'm buying it. I'm so buying it. I got a scroll. The scroll contains a magical accent which causes a material force spell to grant burning strikes that damage targets in a line. What? What does that mean? Sigil of Volcanic Weapon. How do I use it? Material force spells. Does that mean I'd have to put it on a well, yeah. Not that force spell. Not that force spell. Not that force spell. Not that force spell. Well, what the fuck is a material force spell? Hold on. Oh, material force. Oh, it's a... Okay, it's the spells that... It's the sigil of material force. I didn't realize it was talking about the expression. Okay, so it's any of the ones that are the fire casting spells. Oh, that's fucking cool. That is fucking cool. Well, I have Ignite Brand right here. With Limitless Boundaries and Timeless Form on it. Oh man, I'm 3 lore away from being able to use this thing on my Ignite Brand. So weird to see iron things and them not to be considered shit tier. Yeah, iron is like this amazing new technology in this world. Actually, it's not even the tech. Nobody even knows how to actually make shit out of iron. For real. The only way they can make shit out of iron is with the mages, the forge-bound mages who use magic to work iron. So basically what this new sigil would do is instead of whenever she hits with her weapon doing some extra fire damage, instead of just that, also whenever she hits, it creates a 10-meter long line of fire that shoots out from there that hits any enemies in the line. Every weapon hit. That's pretty frickin' rad. But I can't quite... Unless I make it not AoE. If I make it so that I'm just casting it on verse alone, then I could put... 100 lore required. Well, I'll just wait till I have 100 lore to use that new sigil. You can also put it on Polish arms. Polish arms. Every time I see that, I think it's Polish. I mean, obviously it's Polish arms, but... Flame Quench. I see what you did there, Saito. No, just casting spells by themselves doesn't give you any experience. The spells have to cause, prevent, or heal actual damage in order to grant you XP. Or like if you put a status effect on somebody, like let's say you cast a spell that confuses the enemy. Then if somebody hits that enemy while they're confused, you get experience for using the confusion spell. Something like that. You might get experience just for putting status effects on an actual enemy, but the buffs themselves don't give you any experience unless the person gets buffed and then they, you know, get attacked or they attack someone or something. Polish arms. You're weirdly obsessed with this Quen thing. Like, there should be some kind of support group for you with your Quen obsession. We only sell to members of Kairos' armies. And you, of course, Faithbinder. Lethean's Crossing may not be the best place to live, but it's a great place to get materials. Staggering burn. And we slip on the super slippery log bridge and fall. Here's the base of the spire. We're gonna go in here and see what we can steal from townsfolk. I mean, how we can possibly help out folks as a Faithbinder.
Interesting.
We found some hidden loot. Cook your fish. The back wall of this home has long since crumbled away, revealing the old walls behind it. Oh. Big old piece of old wall right there. What's this? +10 subterfuge, Raven Shawl. This feathered garment reflects no light and seems a natural extension of the darkness. Hold on, let me see something. I've got 84, because I currently have that on my boots. You can't get it from both. Can't get it from both. There's really nobody else in the party that I give a shit about their subterfuge. I don't know that I need this for anything. I'll hold on to it. I'll hold on to it, and I'll tell you why. If I decide I get some other boots that I really want to wear more, then I can take those other boots and wear them, and then I could wear this, and I'll still keep the +10 subterfuge. So I'll hold on to it for that reason. Thanks for Magic Shawl. Start casting spells at the back of the house to see if Bane come out. Well, I don't think Bane can just burst through the walls like Mr. Kool-Aid. Oh, yeah. What's Sir Josiah? Alright, now we'll go in this house. Oh, here's Zidania. We need to talk to her. Oh, Eldian's here too. Oh, this is the important house. All the important people to talk to are here, apparently. Okay. We need to talk to Zidania. We need to talk to Eldian, the village elder. Master, the Fatebinder is here. Zidania, Master of the Forge. Zidania turns and approaches you, her lithe body moving fluidly as she walks. She stops before you, her stance solid and sure, but you see she is standing lightly on her feet, ready to move if necessary. She never takes her eyes off of you, but you know she is acutely aware of her surroundings.
Fatebinder, may the fires of your forge never cool.
She salutes you.
I had hoped our paths would cross. What can this servant of the flame do for you?
Why have you come to Lethian's Crossing?
What an odd question, Fatebinder. When you showed up in the forge, I thought you had been sent to check up on me. As my mission came directly from Tunon, shouldn't you already know? I was tasked with creating an artifact to protect the Forge-bound from the Bane. We have been delayed too often and lost too many of our own, so it was decreed that something must be done. I created the Mage Bane Helm to keep the Bane at bay. Once the helm is in place, its magic will keep the Bane locked away inside the old walls.
Well, that sounds convenient. Why did you create a helm?
The Forge-bound are crafters of weapons and armor, Fatebinder. Not statues and baubles. I make what I know. It is also portable and can be moved easily or used in battle should its protection be needed elsewhere in the future.
Alright, I'm sold. Sounds like a good idea.
For the time being, though, it will remain here, protecting the Forge-bound. We have a job to do and cannot do it properly if we are constantly assaulted by outside forces.
Why do the Forge-bound stay here if the Bane is such a threat?
This forge is in the shadow of the old walls, in an area rich with iron. We have ample supply of raw material, and the influence of ancient magics. It's an acceptable risk, and with the helm in place, the Bane will no longer be an issue.
Why were you asked to create this item? Couldn't any Forge-bound here do it?
All Forge-bound are masters at their craft, but each also has their special talents.
The Magebane required someone whose skills were well above those who haven't been practicing as long as I have. Tunon wanted a masterpiece, so he asked the Master. How did you become Master of the Forgebound? I was trained at a young age to be a warrior, but never felt any connection to that life, except when I was instructed how to repair my equipment. The fire spoke to me. It sang when I stoked it, and told me where to swing my hammer to achieve the proper shape. I knew from that first moment that it would be my life. I apprenticed with the Forgebound and focused exclusively on my craft. Soon my skills were superior to everyone else. I took risks with magics no one else dared to touch, and created some of the most powerful artifacts ever to come from the Forgebound. Kairos recognized my skills and granted me the title of Master of the Forge. This is why Tunon asked me personally to create an artifact to protect Lethian's crossing. This is impressive. I could use the talents of the Forgebound to supply an army to overthrow Kairos. I can't even say that shit with a straight face. She's just talking about how proud she is to have been granted this title by Kairos, and how she's all in on the serving Kairos as a fucking master artisan. And I'm just like, huh, cool story. Want to help me overthrow Kairos? It's fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous to say this line after what she just said. No segue, no leading her slowly into it through a complicated Socratic dialogue of manipulation, of getting her to somehow admit to herself ahead of time that she really doesn't like being under Kairos, and making her think it's her idea. No, none of that. Just straight up, yo, wanna help me overthrow Kairos or what? Oh my god. This is one of the sillier things my character has said in this game, contextually speaking. This is impressive. I could use the talents of the Forgebound to supply an army to overthrow Kairos. Would you consider joining us? I mean, speaking as a person who's manipulated a person or two in my day, kids, that is not how you do it. Wow. Wow, that's not good. I'm gonna assume that Seraphina's still fucked up from Lantry's inks at this point. Yeah, there's not even a farewell option. You literally have to say this. Talk of mutiny from a fate binder. I would have thought one so deeply entrenched in Kairos' employ would know better. And as we both currently work for Kairos, it would not be to either of our benefits to speak of such things. I know, right? It was incredibly stupid of me to say that. I have seen the fruits of such endeavors lining the paths to the Archon's camps. I mean, just so on the nose. An army to overthrow Kairos, it said. I mean, just so blunt and just throwing it out there in the, from fucking left field. Are you kidding me? I'm also afraid what you propose isn't as easy as you imagine. An artifact of such power can't simply be manufactured. It takes time and effort to make these items. Simple weapons and armor can be produced easily, but we are already providing those for the war. Regardless, protecting the Forgebound is my top priority, and right now that means getting Magebane set. I must place the helmet before I do anything else.
The settlers here have created a spot on the 3rd tier for it, and that is where I am headed.
Oh no, disaster is... Well, she's been doing fairly well, I think. There's been pretty good, reasonably manipulative options for dialogues in almost every case. Until right now, in which suddenly she just completely forgets how to fucking be a diplomat and talk to people and just says some dumb shit out of the blue. Disaster is about to ensue. I know that when we go to place this helmet, some bad shit is going to happen.
Please join me and we will talk further once I know Magebane is secure and working properly. While I am loath to upset Kairos unnecessarily, and I am not convinced outright defiance is the correct solution, you are right in thinking something must be done.
Oh god. Wow, that was good. That was amazing. Oh, here's Eldian. The sunburnt man dips his head in greeting. An outsider never arrives alone. At least that is what my mother always said. Seems she knew what she was talking about. He nods thoughtfully at his own words. I do that. I nod thoughtfully at my own words. I'm Eldian. Welcome to Lethian's Crossing. You must be the one everyone is talking about. Tunon's Fatebinder, right? Eldian looks you over. We could have used your help when Kairos' forces tried to take Lethian's Crossing. Though I suppose you would have been fighting on their side, wouldn't you? But the Brotherhood overcame, and now we're saddled with their continued leadership. He shrugs. I suppose there are worse fates. Hearing stories about your exploits in Vendrian's Well, I expected you to be 12 feet tall and shoot fire from your mouth. And lightning from my arse. Can't always tell the contents of a pie from its crust, can you? Now, why is he suddenly talking about pie? But enough of my prattling. You didn't come here for a history lesson or to get my opinion of your grandeur. He waves his hand dismissively at his previous comments. I wave my hand dismissively at my previous comments. What can this old fool do for you? Can I ask you some questions about Lethian's Crossing? If you have questions about our settlement, I'm the one to ask. I've the dubious distinction of being the oldest living resident of Lethian's Crossing. So I've been here for a lot of its history. Eldian smiles. Eyes, hips, hair, and hearing might be failing, but my mind still remembers everything that happened here. Yeah, I'm trying to make it sound a little bit different from Lantry and Ramoa, but it's within the same family, certainly. The same family of voices. What would you like to know about? I'll do my best not to go on too long about it. I know I have a problem keeping my conversations short. That one priest who sent us to the second sphere of that D&D campaign. Oh, that guy. Okay, well, this conversation is not going to be short. On my way in, I ran into some merchants who were leaving town. Why are people leaving? If I were to be honest, Fatebinder, I'm surprised more people haven't left. Not just the merchants. The current tension in town between the Brotherhood and Kairos' forces is making Lethian's Crossing a very dangerous place to live. But life outside is even worse, so where would they go? At least the merchants can take their livelihood with them. With the Bronze Brotherhood maintaining control of Lethian's Crossing, Kairos' armies have been itching to take the town from them. At least, that is what seems to be happening. For all I know, Nerat and Ash might be simply want the forge bound. Once they found iron in our river, suddenly everyone cared about who had control of the crossing. I'd like to ask you about the crossing's history. If you have questions about the goings-on in the crossing, I'm the one to ask. I've been here for more of its history than anyone else. He smiles. What would you like to know? Who was Lethian? The biggest pain in the ass I ever knew. He turns bright red, blushing at his words, then lets out a huge guffaw. I suppose I shouldn't talk about my mother like that. She was a mediocre merchant, but a great leader. The war in the northern kingdoms cost her a very lucrative trade route up north. But she managed to earn trade stewardships from Kairos, and for a short time she had a monopoly on grain, salt, and tin here in the tiers. What did my grandmother say? Give a blind man time and a pile of rocks and eventually he'll hit a target. He shrugs. Not to say she didn't deserve it, but I think luck played a bigger part in her success than actual talent. But Kairos gives and Kairos takes. The next year, Lethian was stripped of her trade rights. Suddenly, she had a large staff, but no goods to trade and no means to pay anyone. But she was a stubborn one and knew if she just kept at it, eventually things would turn around for her. She figured the trade goods would come to us, or could come to us. The location was good enough. It's crazy how that would happen. So she decided to concentrate on making an existing local settlement into the center of commerce for the tiers. And by the claws of a beast, she did just that. I thought she was crazy choosing a town nestled up to the old walls, but apparently she knew what she was doing. It wasn't long after that it was renamed Lethian's Crossing. With the bridges over the old walls, this was the only place to go if you wanted to take weeks off your trip. Eventually, she hired the Bronze Brotherhood to act as our local guards. We were big enough and had enough commerce to warrant the protection. Lethian was your mother? Of course. How do you think I became the Reeve of the Crossing? It's certainly not my storytelling or charm. I may be the oldest living resident here, but that's certainly not a good enough reason to make someone a leader. Though, come to think of it, neither is just being the offspring of the former leader. He laughs. Well, I think it's the center of commerce for the tiers now that the bastard city is basically shut the fuck down. It is in an ideal location because you can only cross the old walls at certain specific places, and those places are few and far between. So I think this place is located right in a place where two old walls combine and where they can be crossed over, which means a lot of people would travel through this. This is kind of a central hub area, so having a town right here, makes sense in terms of, controlling commerce and so forth. But like it or not, that's how things are. My mother was a wonderful woman. She might not have been the nicest person, and she might have been overlord of a dalliance. She was into some BDSM shit, that woman. And she might have been over fond of a dalliance here or there, or there, or there. But who isn't? His face sobers. May her rest be ever free of disturbance. How did you build the Old Wall's bridges? Lethian was the mastermind of that. She could tie a knot with one hand, one string. I remember watching her draw systems of ropes and knots in the sand, telling me what they would do when built. I thought she was crazy. Alright then, hold on. They built the bridges over the old walls. If that's the case, that's illegal. You're not allowed to do that. I mean, if this was part of Kairos' empire fully, that shit would not fly. The only places you're allowed to cross the old walls are places where Kairos herself has altered the terrain to allow you to do it. Says she got the idea for the bridges from seeing galleys pulled out of the water onto dock. Apparently, the hardest part was getting the initial climbing team to brave the old walls and set the first ties. But apparently you can pay a man enough rings for him to overcome his fear of old walls' predators. Why did you settle here? Necessity! The rope bridges let us cross the old walls. With them, it didn't matter what trade rights we had. We'd be at a crossroad to the northern tiers, an unbeatable location. The siege of Ardent and the bastard city ended up helping us. All those folks herding to points east crossed through our little settlement, and many of them decided to stake a claim with us. By then, Lethian discovered there was iron in our rivers. She thought it'd make us rich, but it also made us a target. The old walls don't make passage through the area easy, and our bridges cut days to weeks off a trip. Lethian's Crossing is the best bet to get your shipment where it needs to go. Mix a motherload of iron ore into it, and we suddenly had a target painted on us. What is Kairos' interest in the crossing? Iron, plain and simple. Now we have the forge-bound here, toiling away with the ore they pull from the river. We're being squeezed for our resources. If you're after a drink, better to squeeze fruit than a stone. That's a pretty handy saying there, like, who needs to be told that? And it would seem many people find us to be very juicy indeed. There was a merchant who tried to peddle iron rocks as magical because they came from areas near the old walls. One of the people he sold to happened to be a disfavored courier. The courier then showed the rock to a forge-bound master who immediately recognized its potential for making superior weapons. It was brought to Kairos' attention, and soon afterwards, soldiers and forge-bound came to Lethian's Crossing. They came with such force, our options were to either comply with what they wanted, or die. Why does the Brotherhood want Lethian's Crossing? Land? Breeding stock? They've been here longer than I have, so maybe they consider it home, too. But Kairos' purse masters are no longer paying them to fight, and if a mercenary is killing for free, something's suspect. In the end, I suppose it doesn't matter. Raytamon will never let go. He feels he owns this town, and he aims to have it be his. Let me ask you something else. What would you like to know about? I'll do my best not to go on too long about it. I know I have a problem keeping my conversations short. No, the Bronze Brotherhood is who controls this place, Saito. They're not with Kairos originally paid the Bronze Brotherhood to guard this place because of the iron, but then that ended. And now they are just in control of the place, but they're no longer with Kairos or in Kairos's employ. And they are in fact fighting against Kairos's people. On our way here, we got ambushed by a group of them. Well, not really ambushed. We got stopped by a group of them, and they had just killed a whole bunch of disfavored. So they're actually fighting against Kairos. They're one of the groups that we're gonna try to get to join our little coalition. What can you tell me about the spire in Lethian's Crossing? Eldian shakes his head. Sometimes I wonder why Lethian thought it was a good idea to settle here. We already had a Bane problem before the Forgebound set up here. Now that they're using the crossing as one of their main forges, the Bane issue is even worse. Since the Bane are drawn to magical energy, we have to be on constant alert for them escaping. That's it. There are Bane in the Old Walls? We ask you about some of the most powerful magic in the tiers, and you tell us a tidbit of information we already know? I'm sorry, miss. I wasn't aware it was that important. I have been inside there all of one time in my life. Oh, he admitted to going in the Old Walls. Execute him! And I don't plan on going back in ever again. You can't, because execute him! So, if you want more information, you'll need to ask someone else. As my uncle used to say, don't ask the dog what the pig has been up to. This guy's got his fucking sayings, man. I can tell you what I know, nothing more. How did you seal the door? I have a keystone that can be used to open or seal the door. One of Kairos' soldiers found it while they were looking for a way to seal the doors to keep the Bane from escaping. The sealed door is only a temporary measure, though. It holds the Bane back for now, but it won't last for much longer. That is why Tunon instructed Zedenya to create an artifact to protect Lethian's Crossing from the Bane. Will you let me into the Old Walls? Why am I asking him like that? I should just be telling him, yo, I'm a Fatebinder. I can literally kill you right now, or have you killed, for entering the Old Walls. You're gonna let me in the Old Walls. Give me the key to the Old Walls, old man. But you know what? No, never mind. I'm a diplomat. We're being diplomatic. Will you let me into the Old Walls? I'm afraid that's a risk I'm not willing to take, Fatebinder. Execute him! Once the doors are unsealed, there's a good chance. Execute him! Bane will flood into Lethian's Crossing. As much as I would love to help you, execute him. I can't endanger. Execute him. The town like that. Execute him. Let me ask you something else. We'll table that idea for now, but trust me when I say you will be letting me in. But let's talk about something else first. Alright, we'll continue our talk with Eldian, the Eldianer of Lethian's Crossing, in our next episode. It's going to do it for this one, though. If you're watching the stream, I'm not going to stop playing. I am going to continue. I just need to take a quick break and end this episode for YouTube. If you're watching the video, it's that time. That's going to do it for this episode, so thank you for watching. This has been Josiah Plays Tyranny.